Join us in welcoming Mr. Hiralal Sir to the stage for a presentation on AIML techniques and applications. He will be sharing insights from paper number 33 titled Evaluating Trade-offs Between Model Precision and Training Importance with Precision Variation.
Hello all, very good afternoon. Am I audible? Yes. Okay, welcome to the AIML SNLP conference 23. Paper ID 23. Our topic is evaluating trade-offs between the model precision and training performance with precision variation. Authors, myself, Hiralal, data scientist, Shushnata Biswas, intern, and Dr. Akansha Kumar, chief data scientist at AI Center of Excellence, Geo Platforms Limited, Hyderabad. Introduction. So this precision is not getting confused by the model precision or the results precision, accuracy, F1 score. This precision is how we represent a value of pi. It's represented standard as 22/7, but for the calculation we used to take it as 3.14, that is up to 2 decimal places. And when we take it to up to 6 decimal, we might get more accurate results, but we need more space, more computational power, and more space to store those results. So that is the precision. So our objective is to evaluate the trade-off between how precise model weights and biases are represented and how that will act on the training performance. We have seen many quantization techniques and the post-processing that are used on the pre-trained model, and then we will quantize and then we will use for the inference. But we are looking at the training itself. Can we reduce the training time, training efficiency, because training takes a lot of time, and we have seen in the LLMs how much time it takes, how much money it takes, how much resources it takes, and how much time it is required. So the motivation is like the study lies on the potential of uncovering techniques that significantly reduces the training time and memory requirements while maintaining or improving the model accuracy. To do this study, we need a data set and a model. So data set we chosen is MNIST classification data set. This contains grayscale images. Those are 28 by 8 pixels. We will flatten it and we will use a neural network. And the data set sample size contains 60,000 training images and 10,000 as a test sample. And this is a widely adopted benchmark data set for the computer vision field. Yeah, handwritten characters. These are digits between 0 to 9 and with the actual label. This is supervised problem. So we can see at the very first row it's 50419 and the second row 21314 and the caption as the true label. Now coming to the model architecture. So we cannot take a great model and experiment with all the possible data sets or all the possible data types. We chose LeNet, that is architecture proposed by Yan Li et al. And it's a popular network choice for the deep learning benchmarking and the deep learning task historically. So this layer has 3 layers. Those are fully connected layers, and we used activation function as ReLU. And we used last layer as the 10 nodes, and very input first is we used to flatten 28 by 28 into a flat vector, and now the first hidden layer contains 300 neurons, second layer contains 100 neurons, and last layer contains 10 neurons that will possibly give the probability of each class as a digit. And we use log softmax that will give a probability of the digit. If we see in this, it's 0, 0, 1, that means it's 0, 1 and 2. So the digit input is 2 and the output is 2 accordingly in the output vector. Yes, so that digit corresponding 0 to 9, corresponding bit will be 1 with the highest probability, and that we will say this is the input. Coming to the precision, there are multiple ways to represent a number. We can represent a number in float 64, that is double, float 32, that is considered as single precision, and float 16, that is half precision. So first we will discuss with single precision, that is also known as float 32. So this number will be represented in the 32 bits, and if we take a decimal number, it will be broken into three components. First is the sign. So 32nd bit of the 31 index will be denoted as a sign. So if it's 0, it's a positive number. If it's 1, that's negative number. Then the next 8 bits will denote the exponent part, and next 23 bits as a fraction part. So in our very first model, float 32 data type to represent the weights and biases of the model. And then the 32 is standard precision, mostly used in all the libraries. If you take already developed or the matured frameworks, PyTorch or TensorFlow itself. When coming to the double precision or the float 64, it is having 64 bits to present a number. So it will require more storage power, more computations to get the numbers, but this is more accurate on the other contrary part. So this is also very similar. The 64th or 63rd index is the sign bit. If it's 1, then the number is negative, otherwise it's positive. And then the 11 bit to represent exponent and 52 bit for the fractions. Similarly, we have int 64. This is very plain. We don't have the fractions there. It will directly represent a number. So it will cover a large range of the inputs. But on the other hand, it can store the sign as well. So with 63 bit will store the magnitude, and the 64th or the 63rd index will store the sign. Similarly, we can represent numbers in the 8 bit as well. That is the I have seen int 4 as well in the by Qualcomm or specialized hardware, because we cannot multiply int 4 or the int 8 directly on these our commercial hardwares. So these will need specialized hardware, but we can do some quantization and get the number. But in this case, numbers will be represented between -128 to 127. First bit would be the sign bit, and the next 7 bit would be the amount. Coming to the quantization, let's say if we are having numbers in float 32 and if we want to represent them in 8 bit, then what we will do? We will do the quantization. We will represent in the integer, but we will lose some information that will result in quantization error, but that can be taken care in the quantized aware training. In quantized aware training, in forward pass, we will use the quantized number, but in the reverse pass or the back propagation, while updating the weights, we will update weights accordingly. So this is the formulation to get the real number into quantization. Q equal to R by S plus J. G is the denoting 0 pointer, and S is the scale. Now we can look at the plots. We have trained a model for 100 epochs, and it's we plotting at each epoch what is the percentage time difference between given two data types. And if we consider that there are some minor fluctuations because of this are epoch results. So first is int 8 and the float 32. So we see the results are positive, so that means int 8 takes more time than the float 32, because we need some processing to convert numbers into int 8, and directly we cannot use our commercial hardware. We need a specialized hardware to do this. Next is coming to the int 8 versus float 64. This is also a negative number, because int 8 takes more, int float 64 takes more in this case, because that is the subtraction part. Similarly, we see positive number because int 64 takes more, because there are 64 bits to manipulate. Similarly, float 64 take more than int 64, because that is representing more accurately the numbers. Then we can take int 64 and float 32. Similarly, now we can compare the training time and the loss. We haven't plotted accuracy because accuracy is not a correct term for the multi-class classification. So if you look at the maximum time took by the top line, that is float 64. On other hand, if you look at the training loss, those are very similar, but if you zoom and look at the plot, that is float 64, that gives the minimum loss. These are results on time. If we compare float 32 and float 32, there is no time difference. But if we take float 64 and float 32 for 100 epochs and the MNIST data set, it results 37% of higher time. Then if we take int 64, that takes 0.41 higher only. So int float 32 and int 64 are very similar in the time. But if we take int 8 is a bit higher because it requires some external computations. But if we compare float 64 and int 64, we result negative 27%, so float 64 is higher than the int 64. And similarly, if we compare int 64 and int 8, then we result to 5.7. So the conclusion is int 8 and int 64 results to the very similar accuracies and losses, and the reason being our weights magnitude is not too high. Our weights and biases magnitudes are in the range of int 8. That's why we get similar accuracies. And if we want superior accuracy, we should go with float 64. But if we want to experiment at a project and we want faster results, then we should go with the lower bits. And int 8 represents the compelling alternative to the lower precision. We can train multiple models with int 8, and then we can choose best model as a model selection, and then we can use that model as with float 64 for the higher accuracies. Future work is we haven't tried int 4 because that requires specialized hardware. We skipped float 16. And other thing is we can use different model architectures. We used a 3-layer model architecture, and that was also fully connected layer. We can use other types of layer also. Expanding data set used in current. So we used MNIST data set. We can use other data set to mark the benchmark if time remains the same. And testing new techniques as well. There is known as mixed precision. So few numbers we will put them in float 64 and few in float 32. So the model accuracy won't drop, but we will get the faster training. But that will require different algorithms because current frameworks does not support mixed precision data types. And dynamic precision scaling is also one option. I would like to thank Geo Platforms Limited and KMIT Hyderabad. References. Thank you all.